Yes, hello, Mark.
Hello, how's it going?
It is fine. We're getting used to a slightly new computer, and some of the software is not exactly as it used to be. Buttons have moved. I mean, we've made it all happen, but it's and then Zoom, of course, decides to move the record button, so it's not where it used to be. It's fine. We overcome. How's your day going?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. Yeah, just finished work a little bit ago, cooked some burgers for the kids, so they're downstairs having burgers now. And then game night later, which if you're on the video, you might be able to see set up behind me.
Yeah. So this interview will go out onto YouTube and podcast in a few days or so. And when you watch it, you'll be able to see what I can see right now, which genuinely gets me very excited. Um, so let's just do the games really quickly and we'll get into deeper stuff. But why do you have a table behind you with games all around?
So this is my game room. It's also my office. So the table that is behind me is it's actually a special gaming table. So there's a game set up on top. When we finish that, we can just whip it off, take the top of the table off. There's another game set up underneath, so we can just, we don't have to waste time switching games and stuff. It's all good to go. And then down the side, on the other side, there is all my collection of games that I've acquired over the years.
Now, AireCon is where Katie Mack connected you and I because she said to me, Andy, do you like games? Yes, we do. Do you play board games? Yeah, we love them as a family. It's a regular thing that we do. We like them a lot. Even poker, although we don't gamble money. But we
Yeah.
love games on a board because it's an opportunity to sit around like a dining room table, which is what we normally use. And it's a chance to have a chat. And depending on how deep a conversation we want, we'll kind of bring out different games.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, I think game is a great way of kind of getting to know people, and especially if you don't know people, because sometimes it can be a bit awkward, but you all instantly have something in common in that it's the game that you're playing all together, and so you can chat about that and get to know each other a bit better. So yeah, obviously I love games. Play every Wednesday, play most nights with my kids and my wife. We play before bedtime, sometimes instead of a bedtime story. But yeah, all
I
good.
like the sound of that. So, for those that aren't watching right now, what is the game you've got on the table for tonight?
It's a game called Aquatica, so it's a card-based game about diving into the deep and trying to meet characters along the way and various different things. And yeah, you're trying to conquer the deep really using cards and stuff like that. It's actually a bit cheeky. It's my friend's game, uh, and he's like, "Mark, can we play this tonight?" And last week, or can we play this next week? I said, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Do you mind setting it up and learning it so you can then teach us all?" I was like, "Right, okay."
You see, that's one of the problems, though, isn't it? You get a brand new game. Oh, this looks brilliant. You get it out, and you think, which person decided to make this game that complicated? But once you get into it, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and there's been a whole sort of big revolution in gaming, I'd say, since similar to the video game kind of thing, probably since the late 90s, started with a game called Catan. Has gone from there where people now, you get games now that it's like one page of rules because, that's a big barrier to getting into games is having to read like 24 pages of rules. So people have realized and they're cutting down the amount of kind of upfront rules learning. There's even some games where they don't necessarily have a rule book, they'll still have something, but you can just set the game up and start playing. And through the cards that you turn over, it'll be like, now do this and learn this, and all sorts of companion apps and YouTube videos and everything to help you just get playing the game because that's what people really want to do, isn't it?
A long time ago, probably 30, 35 years ago, I was being taught how to play Starfleet Battles, which
All
is
right.
kind of Star Trek on this octagon board thing. It takes about 6 to 8 hours to learn the game. Um, it's quite involved. I mean, it's kind of good fun, but you had this A4 sheet which you had to mark down scores, and it, if you're a physicist or an advanced mathematics, I'm sure it's a good game. I was at the very edge of my comprehension of how to actually play this thing. It was kind of good fun. I was, playing Kirk on the Starship Enterprise, but what now? Oh, I can't. What do you mean I can't do that? Where's the rules? Oh, well, it's 74 pages in.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still, I mean, there is still some of that, but alongside it, there's this whole new kind of, either call them gateway games or something like that for people to just get into the hobby and start having fun. I think there's something now, I think they reckon it's about 3,000 new board games released every year at the minute. So,
Wow. 3,000.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That, that's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. I mean, I would guess that the majority of them wouldn't really make it to, into common knowledge, even within board game circles. The board game printing, for some of them, you kind of talk about probably 2 to 3 thousand copies worldwide. But really big games. Well, I suppose one of the biggest modern games is a game called Wingspan, which is about bird spotting. But for some reason, caught people's imaginations. They've sold over 1 million copies of that in about 5 or 6 years, or maybe a bit longer. Yeah,
Impressive.
yeah. But it's so varied. There's games about all sorts of stuff. Like the one that's actually set up underneath this one that we're going to play afterwards is about running a cinema, and you're putting different films on and all sorts of things. There's always trading in the Mediterranean always seems to be a big one. There's all sorts of things. I've got one over there about harvesting guano, which you know what guano is, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do.
managing bats and trying to.
Okay. This is the thing about games is it can capture the imagination of many people because
Yeah, sure.
I'm looking around the room behind you and you do need to watch this interview when it goes out onto YouTube in a few days because there are some really great games. But the elephant in the room, Monopoly, which is probably one of the most well-known board games in the world. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that one?
I think of its time, it's done amazing things for board gaming and introduced a whole new way of playing games. Really, I'd say by modern standards, it's quite outdated. And if you play it by the rules, which hardly anyone ever does, it's actually still all right. But so many little house rules have crept in over the years: free parking and people not doing auctions and things like that, which unfortunately sort of dragged the game out, which why it ends up being this 2 to 3 hour thing where people are at each other's throats by the end of it. But yeah, I think it's not something I would choose to play personally anymore because there's other things that have kind of taken what it did, taken some of that luck of the dice out and things like that. And so a really good one to look out for is a game called Machi Koro. Captures that kind of Monopoly feeling, but lasts 20 to 30 minutes and is less lucky, less uh, not quite as aggressive to each other. Um,
I want to get on towards AireCon. We'll come back to that one. But briefly before we come back to it, what is that? Because I've been saying, look, AireCon, it's nothing to do with cooling, it's everything to do with gaming, which to me sounds quite cool. But what's AireCon all about?
yeah, so it's a gaming. We call it a gaming festival that we run annually at the Harrogate Convention Centre. It's Air, like the River Air, because I live in North Leeds and we're in the Air Valley here. And when I first started it, it was just started in my house, not this one, around the corner. And we had 3 tables set up. I had about 30 friends came over a weekend. My wife at the time, and this is pre-kids, my wife had gone off on a hen do to Czech Republic or something, as seems to be the thing to do these days is go abroad for a hen do or a stag do. So I thought, I'll run a little convention in my house. And one of the biggest board game conventions in the world is Gen Con, like GENCON in the US. And that was named after Lake Geneva, which is where it used to be. So I kind of looked around, was like, well, what bodies of water are near my house? And it was the River Air. I wasn't at the time expecting it to become a big public event. So I thought, oh, that's fine, AireCon. And as you said, the very first logo I ever did, it says AireCon, it's cool. So it's really cheesy. But yeah, it just kind of grew from there. Really, we never thought to change the name. Thought, once it kind of gets out there and people know what it is, the name is just a name, really is.
See, I don't mind a bit of cheese. I think it's quite good to lean into it. It's like dad jokes, we still laugh.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
it's a bit cheesy, but it's still funny.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. When you explain it to people, like, oh, we just have to always remember to say when we're saying it's like AireCon, but you got to put an E right in the middle, so AIRECON. And the logo even has like a silhouette of the River Air running through it.
Oh,
So,
cool. See, I love that. Our very first logo for Pure, and I did Pure 24/7 radio as a speech. I recorded that, and the sound waves made it onto the first logo. Now,
cool.
nobody would have known that. It was just little lines, but
Yeah.
it was a personal thing of, yeah, that was my voice actually in print, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
We'll come back to AireCon, but that's what you're doing now. Where did you start to do that? Other than hey, let's do a bit of gaming. I mean, why did you want to have a gaming night in the first place?
Um, well, I kind of have a theory that people come from either gaming or non-gaming families, and my family was very much a gaming family, sort of board gaming family when I was younger. We used to live in Germany, and it's the forces baby, and we used to have a motorhome, and would often just go driving off for any of the holidays, and we'd have loads of games that we'd play while we're driving around and stuff like that. And as I got older, I got into various other things, and then I kind of fell away from the hobby a bit, really, um, and sort of left it a bit through uni and stuff like that. But when I went on a church weekend away, and someone introduced me to some of these more modern games. It was Catan, Carcassonne, Apples to Apples, things like that. And I was just hooked. I was like, oh, these are amazing. And really got into gaming. And then I started a game night, a monthly board game night at where I was working at the time, which is CAP, Christians Against Poverty, that we called, what do we call it? Something like Beyond Monopoly, something like that. And and we were doing that, and like I said, the wife went away for a hen do, and I decided to run this little con. And in the meantime, I'd been to a couple of other conventions, and I really liked them. And I thought, well, what else is there around that we could go to? And at the time, there wasn't really anything. We're now probably talking 11, 12 years ago. And I said to one of my friends and one of my colleagues at CAP, said, well, do you fancy trying to make this convention thing? Should we have a go at it and make it a proper thing? Um, and so actually the first two AireCon events we ran were in CAP were associated with a church, and they had a big hall, and we ran it in that hall for two AireCons before we then moved to Harrogate Convention Centre. Yeah, sorry, someone's trying to creep in.
It's always good fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was kind of how it started, and just sort of built from there. It was just an amazing response. There was obviously other people that really wanted to have another convention to go to. So I think the first one we did was about 100 people or so, and then the second one about 250 people, and then so now this year we're expecting about 5,000 people at the Harrogate Convention Centre. So it's great.
One or two then.
Yeah, yeah. I've had to get a bit of a bigger house to host everyone.
So
Yeah.
you started with the games nights. Well, you did one at home, which is, as I guess, fairly straightforward. You're doing some stuff with Cap in a church, so a bit more organization. Where did that organization skill come from? Is that the bit that you have, or is that what you've got others to help you with?
Yeah. So my background is in project management and event management, and my job at the time at CAP was I used to run these kind of holidays for some of our clients, and we used to take sometimes over 100 people away to a venue somewhere, and so that was obviously a lot of organization, and we put on entertainment and various things like that. Um, so the event kind of organization side of it, that was what I kind of already had, and some of the ideas of what stuff we would do. I often have some quite wacky ideas, which I like taking to the team and see what their reaction is. For instance, I've just taken the delivery today of some 72-meter high plastic light up lightsabers. Um, about 72 of them are down in my kitchen now. They were supposed to go to our warehouse, but I obviously mixed up my billing address and my delivery address, and so. But the idea behind these is we'll attach them all to some little stands, but people can put them on a table, light them up, and that's like I've set up a game. I'm looking for some players. So if you see one of those, you could just go over and say, "Oh, can I join you? Have a look at the game." Things like that. But when I first took it to the team, they were a bit like, "Hmm, okay." um, and so I was kind of very purposely, really, when I got chatting to Ben, I knew that he had a lot of the skills that I didn't have, and so I thought, when we got chatting, that was a good way to really get us on good steading from the off, because his background's in kind of finance and a lot of that stuff. So he's very good at keeping us on the straight and narrow.
lightsabers. I mean, they're fairly universally recognized at this point. Was it mid late 70s when they were first seen? But they're going to be known. I mean, you see a lightsaber, you instantly think, huh, Star Wars, Luke Skywalker. How cool's that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we used to use helium balloons actually, and so you put a helium balloon on, and then it'd be floating up. And then I was just looking afterwards after one of the conventions, the amount of waste that we had because you can't store a helium balloon, so we're chucking away all these balloons. And then I found out that actually I hadn't ever really given it much thought, but I found out that helium is like a mined resource, like it's a limited resource, and it's often used in medical procedures and stuff like that, and it's kind of running out. So I thought, oh, we've knocked that on the head. And I was like, we've got to find some other solution, and came up with lightsabers, which we can obviously reuse time and time again.
The thing is, I mean, you like me, I come up with some ideas, and sometimes it's usually my social media guy will just look at me and like, why? Where did that one come from? Operations manager the same. It's really you sure about that? But the thing is, if you didn't have those, I suppose what seem wacky, weird ideas, you wouldn't have aircon in the first place, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And it's always good to have a team. There's four of us now on the direct ship, and then we have obviously some other team leaders and other very helpful people alongside us. So it's good to have a team to be able to go and say, "What do you think of this?" And they can go, "Ah," or go, "Yeah, go for it." So it's
Excellent. Let's get back then. So, Christians Against Poverty. Obviously, we were there last year. We did a whole day of live radio in the office, the newer office that they've got, which is where we met Katie Mack and said, "Hey, why don't you come and do radio?" Okay. Are you mad? And then she joined us, which is great. But why were you at Christians Against Poverty in the first place? How did you end up there?
So actually before that I had been working I was managing a bar in Leeds, and I was kind of I was just sort of thinking, oh, I should really try and use my degree. So sort of late 20s at the time, I think. It's said, oh yeah, yeah, should really really try and get a career. Because as much as I love bar work and respect people that do it, it doesn't really pay the bills very well. So um, and I'd always wanted to work for a charity, and sort of looking around, and I saw that CAP was fairly local. A lot of charities don't actually have in-house. My degree is sort of in graphic design. A lot of charities don't have in-house graphic design teams or anything like that. A lot of it's farmed out. But I saw that CAP was fairly close to me. Um, that they did have an in-house graphic design team, um, and I loved what they were doing. So I went over, and I didn't get the job. So I just kind of applied for a couple of other different things that they had, and eventually got this role in what was called the E&D team, which I don't think it's called that anymore. Running what we call discovery breaks, like so, which was where we were taking some of the clients, some of the people that were working with the debt help side of CAP. We were taking them away on these little breaks, them and their family, and yeah, it's great. And so I did that for a number of years, and then moved into um, overseeing the debt centres around the UK. So initially started down in London in the southeast, and then eventually took over the debt centre network. So that was where I ended up, and then I thought I wanted to do something meaningful with my life, so I went into board games.
No, hey, fair enough. It takes all sorts, and we've all got to go where we want to go,
Yeah,
where we can do some good because we can all do good somewhere. And why
yeah,
not board games as much as anywhere else?
yeah, for sure. And I think it felt quite sort of natural at the time. I think there is quite a large proportion of, I'd say, compared to other hobbies, there's quite a large proportion of Christians in the hobby, and I think it's because of that. You've got interaction. It's not online. It can be wholesome in a way if you pick the right games. There's obviously some that are not so much, but you have choice over that. So and I think sometimes it can be a great way of doing some outreach. And we used to run or previous church that I was at, we used to run a board game mission group where we used to invite some of our friends that maybe weren't in the church or whatever, just get chatting to them, and sort of finds that it breaks down some of the barriers and stuff. Yeah.
I like the sound of that quite a lot. I said before we start that we like board games as a family. We have quite a lot. We got some of the simple ones, Risk, Monopoly, and Yahtzee, and the sort of stuff that most people probably would find in the local supermarket. And we got some slightly different ones as well. But we enjoy the opportunity to sit down as a family, and just do something. And then, as I also said, it's sometimes we're picking which one we want to use, how much chat we want to have. To when I get really, really deep, that's when we get poker out because we can have proper conversations. Yeah, we don't gamble, but we do play poker, and it's a really good chance of thrashing some issues out. If we want something quick, maybe we'll break out Yahtzee. It's dead simple.
Mhm.
You know, shake a dice and fill a sheet, and off you go again. But sometimes it just depends on what we want to do. How much time do we want to spend together, or how much time do we have? Monopolies, you say, can go on a while. There are those people who you talk to who, as a family, maybe should never play a board game because when you see them, it's like, oh yeah, we don't do that anymore. And you can kind of this the Twitch starts. A friend of ours, they got rid of all their board games because actual blood was shed, and they built Lego models instead, which was safer for them. But that's where meeting, reaching other people is great.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's an easy, it's kind of an easy, low commitment thing. Go along for one night to a board game night somewhere, and if you don't like it, people will understand you don't have to come back. But often you find people are like, oh, because I said well, it's 3,000 games a year being released, but most people would not really know of them. So coming along and discovering some of these newer games, I think people are really like, oh, this is actually this is actually fun. Um,
So let's go back in time further. Then you're talking about Christians against poverty. Where did faith begin for you?
um, it's not long before I joined CAP actually. So um, it's hard. So I was brought up in the Catholic Church, went to Catholic schools, um, and just found that I really struggled to have any of my questions answered. So I was kind of going to my RE teacher with some, what I thought were quite big, weighty sort of topics and questions, and they could just never answer them. Just kept telling me to shut up and be quiet, and gave me detention and stuff like that. So I just sort of fell out of church really at that point. And then around 2010, I want to say, I met my wife, and she was in a church here in Leeds, and we sort of started going out. She was very open about her faith, and I was kind of oh, it's quite refreshing. Invited me along to that church did their own version of Alpha, something similar to Alpha. Kind of go along, a bit of food and chat, and suddenly I was able to kind of get a lot of these questions that I'd had for years answered, and or what I was actually quite liked at the time was the person that was leading our table. Sometimes sort of went, well, I don't know, but I'm okay with not knowing. But if you really want an answer, I can find out and bring it back to you next week, and they did, and yeah, so did that, and they did as a lot of Alpha courses do. They did like an away day sort of thing. Just really felt I had an amazing encounter with God during that, and they did like a big sort of festival sort of thing that I was at, and there was a call there, and I went up, and not long after got myself baptized, and yeah, and then like so when I was looking for work, I was looking at charities fairly, maybe about a year after I got baptized, I think. Looking around and saw the CAP and their mission and stuff, and hadn't really come across them before, and really spoke to me, and so yeah.
Cool. So, faith started with Catholic Church, not giving the answers. I remember being at school. It was a state school, normal, middle of the run secondary school. And I remember the teacher. Anytime sort of Christian faith came up, she was always trying to like talk it down. It's a load of rubbish, load of nonsense. Oh, it's not this, it's not that. And I remember thinking, I was already a Christian at that point. I started to follow Jesus when I was 7, but just thinking, you're not doing a very good job of actually just giving us the information for us to make informed decisions unless it's Christianity when it all gets shut down, but everything else you're happy to talk about.
Mhm.
And that was my experience. We had some great teachers in that school as well, which was good. I then went on to a Church of England secondary school. It was great Christian theology, very good debates. It was an Anglican secondary school, so it was 10 through till A levels, 10 to 18. And there was a Roman Catholic secondary school across the way, so we joined our sixth forms. Fun debating, let's put it that way. 16 to 18-year-olds with opinions. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Great. But I like conversation. It's good and asking questions. I love the fact that the person you said, "Here's a question," they'd say, "Do you know? I don't know the answer."
yeah. That's great. And then I went on, and then I started serving on some of those tables myself, and um, Yeah, and loved it, and I loved just the conversation around it all, and um, even now we like trying to deal with some of the weightier stuff. But some of our breakfast conversations can be a bit like, oh, what's this come from?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's good.
Cool. Let's come back to AireCon then. So we've had the journey to some extent. You've told us how you had an enjoyment in Germany, and then you had your own little version at home. I guess around the kitchen table kind of deal with some
Yeah.
mates and friends. That then went to Cat, which got a bit bigger, and it grew and grew and grew. And you've also said AireCon today it's like 5,000 people or so at Harrogate. If people are coming to this thing, one, why would they want to come, and what might they expect?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess it, people might want to come because it's just really fun. There's lots of different stuff to do. You don't have to just sit and at a table and play games for 4 days now. We put lots of different events on. We have RPGs running. We have some live shows. We have a big exhibitor hall where we have about 100 exhibitors that are coming and showing off what they're making, um, and yeah, it's a really good fun. It's very, despite the number of people, it is actually quite a calm environment. It's nice and chilled out, and people um, are always talking about how relaxed they feel there. And some people have managed to sort of make friends because of all the different things we do, like the lightsabers, and we have stickers that if someone's there by themselves, they can put on and say, "Please ask me to play games." We built a whole online system where it was again someone through CAPS, someone that a programmer there helped us build this online system so that people can actually post games they want to play, and then other people can sign up to it, and then they set a meeting point and all of this sort of stuff. And so people have made friends there, and then that's where they see them every year. They come back to AireCon, they see them again, or they might even go to another convention. Like so, AireCon at this point is probably the second biggest in the UK. It's
Oh, wow.
Pennsylvania,
Oh, cool.
but the biggest one is much bigger. There's like 32,000 people at the NEC. But yeah, they might come to AireCon. It's quite a good first convention because it's you kind of get a taste of a bit of everything. As in, it's got exhibitors, it's got play space, it's got events, it's got participation stuff, and um, if you really liked it and you didn't mind the busyness, you might want to go and try UK Games Expo, which is much bigger and much more hectic. But a lot of excitement, but it's much more focused on kind of exhibitors, and so they have 350, 400 exhibitors or something like that. Or you might decide actually the the kind of the playing of the games is what I want, and so you might go and look for a smaller convention. We run a couple of others ourselves that are a bit smaller. One's just in a hotel, only about 300 people, but it's just playing games. We just have a library of games that you can borrow from. Um, and so yeah, it's a good way of kind of coming and seeing what it's like. Or some people just really like coming to AireCon, so they just keep coming back to that one. So, um,
I love that people are saying that it's a nice environment because that's so hard to pitch. Whatever you're doing, whether it's going setting up a little meeting for your office, let's go and have a meeting somewhere. Even that can be quite hard.
yeah,
So I mean, yeah, well done for that one. Because it just setting the environment is so key.
yeah. I mean, I'm very thankful that it's like a lot of it is down to the people that come, and just everyone just seems to get on. I think how we've always tried to run it is like, well, if we were an attendee, would we like this, or would this
Mm.
be something we enjoy? And so, and it just seems to have naturally kind of grown from there. And obviously, we cover things in prayer, and we almost every morning we have a bit of an informal prayer meeting in the exhibitor hall, where a lot of the exhibitors that attend uh, also followers of Jesus, and so they'll join us, and we're always praying that it'd be a good day, that it'd be you know that people would be getting on, and uh, and we'd have a lot of fun.
So tell us where. I mean, you said Harrogate. Whereabouts is that in the UK? And what are the dates for the one for 26?
So it's Harrogate is North Yorkshire, so it's actually about 45 minutes uh, northeast of me. Um, so kind of near York, somewhere between Leeds and York. Yeah, so it's in March, coming up March 13th to the 15th. Um, yeah, so, to check myself. 12th to the 15th, because we do Thursday evening as well. So 12th to the 15th. But the main kind of days when the exhibitors are there and stuff is 13th to the 15th. It's at the Harrogate. There's a big convention centre in Harrogate. So we're in there. You go into Harrogate, you'll see it. It's big. it's a big focus point of the town, and we really like it there because it is right in the center of the town. A lot of these convention centers are way out,
Mm.
on the outskirts, and so you kind of not really a lot else to do. But because we're right in the middle of Harrogate, you can wander off and explore. Harrogate's a nice old Roman spa town, and so you've got the baths in there and Betty's, the older traditional English tea, afternoon tea, and it's a lovely town to walk around. But yeah, it's just all on the doorstep of the convention centre, so it's great.
So 5,000 people, is that per day or is that sort of spread out across the convention?
So this is this is depend on how you count. So that's 5,000 individuals. Um, if you add up what you call turnstile, so as an individual you would count as one. As turnstile, if you came for 3 days, you count as three. So we get 5,000 individuals across the 3 days.
Wow.
Turnstile, that works out at about just over 10,000 people.
That was so cool. So you've got games going on, exhibitors. I guess people can just rock up. And I mean, I guess it's ticketed. So I mean, how do people actually choose to want to come? Do they have to come for a day or the whole thing? How committed do you have to be?
You can totally choose this. You can pay just for a day ticket, or you can get a couple of days, or you can do the full 4 days if you really want to. Some people stay longer and then stay on afterwards and meet in hotels or whatever. Yeah, so it's and it's all just through our website, which is AireCon. It's AireCon. It's named after the river. .co.uk. We've got a beginner's guide on there as well, which is like if you're just coming for one day, this is what we recommend doing. If you're coming for a couple of days, here's a little bit of a program you can follow and gives you a sense of the layout and stuff like that of what you might see as you're going around.
So if somebody's coming thinking, "Hey, I like games. This sounds good. I'll come for the day." How I mean, how does it work when they arrive? Do they like arrive and here's a dice, or is it a bit more relaxed than that?
Yeah, no, it's very relaxed. You obviously we would recommend booking tickets in advance, particularly for the Saturday, because that's sold out for the last couple of years. And so yeah, you'll get there. The first thing usually people encounter is the exhibitor hall, which is it's about 100 different exhibitors showing off various. Some of them are showing off games, some of them are showing off accessories, some of them are showing off tables, like the one I have behind me. And various things like that. And then as you go through, the biggest amount of space is given over to just rows and rows and rows of tables where people can just sit and play games for as long as they want. We have a huge library of games. I want to say it's over 1,000 games now,
Wow.
and you can borrow from that for free. We just just have to sign up to our little sort of online app thing, and then you can borrow games for free and just bring them back as you've done. Um, so you don't even need to bring games with you if you don't want to. Plenty of people don't. They just come, just play games from the library all weekend, or buy games in the exhibitor hall and then go and sit down and play them. You learn them and play them immediately. Um, yeah, and we have other things. We have something called a bring and buy, which is where we'll sell people secondhand games for them. So we have a group where people can post games that they've got for sale and things like that. But if you don't want to go through the hassle of trying to arrange to meet someone and make sure you're there on time, we have this service where you can just drop your games off. We'll sell them for you. We take a small amount of commission just to cover the running costs. And then you just come and collect your money just before you go home and any unsold games and take them with you.
That's really, really cool. Who comes to an event like this? I mean, in my head, I literally have nothing. I don't know whether this is like 18 to 25-year-olds, whether this is 50 to 60-year-olds. Who come into the event?
It's a massive spread, and so we have a lot of families that come because obviously it's over a weekend, so families are generally free. We work with a company that's fairly local called Imagination Gaming, and they do a really cool thing where they go into schools and use board games, sort of STEM, like teaching kids without them realizing they're being taught because they're playing games, um, and that's kind of what they do. But they run a big family zone for us where they have a load of these games and just sit and they'll teach you it all, so you don't need to learn any rules. And yeah, they even run a inter schools tournament on the Friday. So we got, I'm trying to think how many we had, about 8 to 10 primary schools that all came, and they had like a little tournament between all the schools, and they ran all of that, um, so that's really cool. Yeah, so right from families all the way up to people that are well into their twilight years, come and sit, and it's really nice because, like I say, kind of age isn't really a thing. Like just people sit and play games, have this thing in common, right from people that have only just learned about the hobby and want to kind of learn a bit more to hardened veterans that you'll see at every single convention or that will be playing games most nights of the week.
One contentious issue I've got to ask you: is there a board game that causes arguments that you think is it really a board game? Is it not a board game? Is there a sort of a thing that just causes conversation of a heated nature?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just one game. There's a whole
Oh,
category of games called social deduction games. So, I mean, I'm sure people are familiar with the Traitors. That's actually based on a board game. It was, I think, the one they based it off is Werewolf, but there's loads of games like this where it's someone and no one knows who is some kind of traitor, and you've all got to try and figure them out, and you're voting people off, and at night they're eliminating people and things like this. But with all sorts of different themes, it's not just traitors and werewolves and stuff. There's one that's maybe it's in the future and it's sci-fi, and you're also kind of some underground resistance movement, and yeah, but you've got some spy operatives in your midst, and you're trying to figure out who they are. Yeah, it's really fun. There's it's another one that is it's called Cash and Guns, and you actually get a little foam gun, and you have to like point it at people's heads, and whoever has the most guns pointed at you. I think the idea is that you're mafia and you're trying to split the loot. Um, but each time people point their guns at one person, and they kind of they lose all their money.
fair enough. Right, so that's coming up in March. AireCon is the website, AireCon. Is that .co.uk? I forgot what you
Yeah,
said now.
yeah, or just Google it. There's not many other things called aircon.
No, 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 that's fine. AireCon with an E in the middle. Yeah, we're hoping to come as well, which would be great. So it sounds brilliant. Honestly, I like the fact that you can get people together. Anything that helps families to get together, even if it's a side thing, which obviously yours isn't, I get excited about because families, we need reasons to spend time together. All the stuff around us is trying to pull us apart different ways. So if you're doing something that's bringing family together,
Yeah,
to me that's already a win. So thank you for that. But yeah, it does sound genuinely interesting. Just remind us the dates just one more time for people listening.
so it's 12th to the 15th of March, so right in the middle of March. So.
Right in the middle of March. Mark, thank you. I'm glad that Katie said have a chat because you need to go and watch the video. When this goes out in a few days, go and watch the video because over his shoulder it's very exciting. If this is even a percent of the conference, and it's probably even bigger than that, it's worth going. So yeah, I like that idea, especially like a table with a game underneath it.
A game with a game, yeah. Table section.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Mark, thank you. It's been a pleasure to chat to you. Hopefully we'll meet you at some point fairly in the near future. It's been great just learning more about you and what you've done. I love the fact that you've got AireCon going from nothing, which is impressive. But 5,000 people coming is a heck of a something. So yeah, I hope
Yeah.
it goes down really, really well for you. Mark, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.